Hello viewers, recently we have discussed about the oxidation and reduction process, how the redox potential data can be utilized. Further, the construction of the Latimer diagram, how the Frost diagram has been constructed by after the Latimer diagram. In this episode, we shall be talking about the Frost diagram, the construction and application of it, and further the construction and application of the Purbach's diagram, and at the end various principles involved in the extraction of the element depending upon the redox process and electrode potential value. The Frost diagram is also known as the oxidation state diagram. It was invented in 1950 by Arthur Frost, who was a professor of chemistry at Northwestern University. He claimed that this new diagram would show both the free energy, the delta Z value, and oxidation potential data conveniently. He originally called these graphs as oxidation potential free energy diagram, as by utilizing these two quantities, which was later on shortened and called Frost diagram in his honor. It is a plot between relative free energy of the species and oxidation state. It shows the properties of different oxidation states of the species. The Frost diagram can be constructed from the Latimer diagram. The Latimer functions as a base. The values to be plotted on the y axis are obtained by multiplying the number of electrons transferred during an oxidation state change by the standard reduction potential for that change. So, the species positioned lower on the diagram shall be thermodynamically more stable. The information obtained from a Frost diagram is for species under standard conditions as pH 0 for acidic solution, the extreme acidic, and pH 14 for basic solution, the extreme basic. So, such a type of information can be obtained from Frost diagram. It helps to predict stability relative to the higher and lower oxidation state, usually at one fixed pH. Thermodynamic stability can be predicted from bottom of the Frost diagram. Earlier we have discussed about the stability which was located at the top of the diagram, and today and here the bottom of the diagram is going to predict the relative stability. The change in pH may change the relative stability of the species. The potential of any process involving the hydrogen ion will change with pH, since its concentration is changing. In fact, the pH is the negative logarithm of the hydrogen ion concentration, and since it is involving the hydrogen ions whose concentration is changing, so obviously the pH is also changing. Though the value and amount of oxidation state remain unchanged, the free energy can vary greatly. The Frost diagram allows the superimposition of acidic and basic graphs for easy comparison. The slope of the line represents standard potential between the two oxidation state. Thus, steepness of the line shows tendency for those two reactants to react and form the lowest energy product. Means the shape of the line is going to predict the properties, as the slope of the line is representing the standard potential between the two oxidation state. Depending upon the steepness, it is predicting that which form is having the better stability. This point, which is the convex point, it is representing the most stable oxidation state. So, through this the stability can be predicted, it is having maximum stability. Similarly, this is the position of lower standard potential and higher standard potential value. There is a possibility of having either a positive or a negative slope. A positive slope between two species indicates a tendency for an oxidation reaction, while a negative slope between the two species indicates a tendency for the reduction value. Using a Frost diagram, one can predict whether one oxidation number would undergo disproportionation or two oxidation numbers would undergo comproportionation. This point is representing which is having the tendency to get disproportionate between the two oxidation state, and this point is representing the comproportionation between the two oxidation state. This convex and concave position is representing the process. Looking at the two slopes among a set of 3 oxidation numbers on the diagram, assuming the two standard potential, the slope are not equal, the middle oxidation state will either be in hill or the valley form. This type of formation is the hill form and it is representing the formation of a valley. Hill, when the left slope is steeper than the right, then there is formation of hill, and valley when the right slope is steeper than the left. An oxidation number that is on the top of hill favors disproportionation into the adjacent oxidation states. The adjacent oxidation states, however, will favor comproportionation if the middle oxidation state is in the bottom of a valley. Just see in this diagram, it is present in the bottom of the two oxidation state, and this species which is located at the bottom is undergoing the comproportionation, and which is at the top, it is having the property of disproportionation between the two oxidation state adjacent to this. So, this hill and valley situation is representing disproportionation and comproportionations. It is the diagram, the Frost diagram of manganese. It is having the value which is undergoing the disproportionation on these two states. The Mn2 plus present in the bottom is most stable species. Here it is having the lowest energy, it is most stable oxidation state plus 2. MnO4 minus and Mn3 plus tends to disproportionate as these are located on the convex curve. These positions are going to disproportionate. The species located on the upper left side of the diagram is a strong oxidizing agent. The species located on the upper right side of the diagram, Mn metal, is moderate reducing agent. This is the location of Mn, which is moderate reducing agent. The knowledge of the pH condition of environment is not sufficient for predicting the form in which an element will exist in natural water. It must also be taken into consideration whether the aqueous environment is well aerated, that is oxidizing, or polluted with the organic waste, that is reducing. The Purbach's diagram gives origin to predominance diagram, which include the reduction potential of the environment as well as the pH value. It is known as a Purbach's diagram, the EHPS diagram. It is named after Marcel Purbach, who was Russian born Belgian chemist and invented this type of diagram. The Purbach's diagram plot electrochemical stability for different redox states of an element as a function of pH value. Means on one axis the electrochemical stability of different redox state is plotted against the corresponding pH value. It depicts the thermodynamical form of an element as a function of potential and pH. These Purbach's diagrams are essentially phase diagram that plot condition of potential and pH in aqueous solutions where different redox species are stable. It is somewhat same as the phase diagram. It is a type of predominance diagram which shows that predominant form in an element will exist under a given set of environmental condition. These diagrams give a visual representation of the oxidizing and reducing abilities of the major stable compound of that element. It is used in geochemical, environmental and the corrosion application. This corrosion is strictly an electrochemical process where the loss of metal always takes place in the anodic area. It is also known as EHPS diagram, as vertical axis is labeled with EH for the voltage potential with respect to standard hydrogen electrode SHE as calculated by Nernst equation. The horizontal axis is labeled by pH for the logarithmic function of hydrogen ion activity. In the Purbach's diagram, the lines in the diagram shows the equilibrium condition, that is where the activities are equal for the species on each side of that line. On either side of the line, one form of the species will instead be said to be predominant. So, along the line one can conclude that which species is dominating as compared to the other one. This is the Purbach's diagram. These are the species 1, 2, 3 and 4 which has been explained by the reaction. It is the Purbach's diagram for some important naturally occurring compounds of iron. This broken vertical lines, these are representing the normal pH range in the natural water. These two terminals are present in the Purbach's diagram. Similarly, it is the Purbach's diagram for some important naturally occurring compounds of manganese. Again, the vertical lines are representing the normal pH range in natural water, this vertical line. This is the formation of Fe2 plus from Fe3 plus, this Purbach's diagram, this one. The ferric state is changed into the ferric hydroxide. In the third, the ferric hydroxide is changed into ferrous state. In the fourth one, this ferric hydroxide is changed into the ferrous hydroxide. The vertical lines separate species that are in acid base equilibrium. The non-vertical lines separate species related with the redox equilibrium depending on the potential. The horizontal lines separate species in redox equilibrium which are not involving hydrogen or hydroxide ions. The diagonal boundaries separate the species in redox equilibria involving hydroxide or hydrogen ions. The dashed lines enclose the practical region for stability of water solvent to oxidation or reduction. Let us discuss the importance or the main points of the Purbach's diagram. Any point on the diagram will give the thermodynamically most stable and theoretically most abundant species, which is the element at a given potential and the pH condition. The strong oxidizing agent and oxidizing conditions are found only at the top of the Purbach's diagram. The strong oxidizing agents having lower boundaries that are also high on the diagram. All species that ranges from the top to the bottom of the diagram at a given pH will have no oxidizing or reducing properties at that pH, that particular pH. The Purbach's diagram is applicable in the environmental chemistry since it describes the chemical behavior of chemical species in the hydrosphere. In these cases, PE is used instead of EH. The reducing agents and reducing conditions are found at the bottom of the diagram and not elsewhere. The strong reducing agents have low upper boundaries on the diagram. When the predominance area for a given oxidation state disappears completely above or below a given pH and the element is in an intermediate oxidation state, then the element will undergo disproportionation. Means such type of situation in the predominance area, when the oxidation state disappears completely along a specific condition of the pH, then that intermediate oxidation state is representing the possibility of disproportionation. The P value in environmental chemistry ranges from -12 to 25. Since applications, the concentration of dissolved species set at low or high potential water will be reduced or oxidized respectively. In environmental, between 10 to power -2 molar and -5 molar to create the equilibrium line. The Purbach's diagram allows for more accurate prediction of the form in which the different elements will exist in natural water. For a clean lake, the surface waters are well aerated and the dissolved oxygen concentration are high enough to make the potential reasonably close to the E naught value for oxygen. So, the conditions may approach anaerobic, means in absence of oxygen, which is actively reducing, approaching the lower boundary of the reduction of water to hydrogen for a lake highly polluted with organic reducing agent, the bottom layer of a thermally stratified lake, and for a swamp. This is the diagram where this portion is representing the lake or stream. It is representing the normal ocean water. This is the bog water, this entrophic lake water. It is organic rich waterlogged soil and it is organic rich saline water. So, such type of diagrammatic presentations can be obtained between the pH value and the potential value. The Purbach's diagram indicates regions of immunity, corrosion and passivity. It gives a guide to the stability of a particular metal in a specific environment. The immunity means that the metal is not attacked, while corrosion shows that general attack will take place. The passivation occurs. Passivation means if you see the copper, aluminum, tin, such type of metals, they are having the oxide layer form on their surface, which is very thin and strictly adhered with the metallic surface. Thus, the underlying metal is turning passive. The passivation occurs when the metal form a stable coating of an oxide or other salt on the surface. It was all about the Latimer, Frost and Purbach's diagram. Let us discuss about the extraction of the element based on these. The matter around us is not in the pure form, but it is mixture of many elements and compounds. In solid state, both metals and their compounds are in mixed state. In liquid state, water contains number of dissolved salts of metal like sodium, potassium, magnesium, zinc and aluminum. Any element can be obtained in its pure form by certain processes of purification, broadly classified as physical and chemical separation technique. The reactivity of a metal determines how it can be extracted. The metals above carbon in the reactivity series, the electrochemical series, must be extracted using electrolysis process. The electrolysis can also be used to purify copper. The metals which are less reactive than carbon can be extracted from their ores by the reduction process using carbon, coke or charcoal. So, the metals which are above carbon in the reactivity series can be extracted by electrolysis and which are less reactive than carbon can be extracted by reducing using the carbon, coke or charcoal. The platinum, gold, silver and copper can occur native and do not need to be extracted, means they are existing in its pure form. Let us see how the reduction is utilized for extraction of metal. Metals are often found in combined state with oxygen in the form of oxide. For extraction of metal, the oxygen must be removed. The removal of oxygen from a substance is known as the process of reduction. Thus, by utilizing the process of reduction, the metal is getting extracted from its ore form where it is combined with oxygen existing as the metal oxide. Carbon can be used to extract metals by reduction. Here carbon removes oxygen from lead oxide because carbon is more reactive than lead. This is the lead oxide which is treated with carbon and changes into metal, the metallic state of lead. The rocks containing only 5% of the copper was considered unprofitable in the 19th century. Today, most of the copper comes from the ores which is containing as low as 0.4 to 1% of copper. Another way of extraction is using the electrolysis. It is again based on the reactivity. The electrolysis means splitting with electricity. The electrolysis process uses electricity to separate the element in a compound. The electrolysis is an expensive process, hence it is only used to extract reactive metals which cannot be extracted by the any other method. Aluminium is a reactive metal and aluminium is found in nature in the form of bauxite, which is combined with oxygen as aluminium oxide, the alumina Al2O3. Electrolysis removes oxygen and extract aluminium, which means that reduction is taking place because it is again utilizing the removal of oxygen. Let us see the extraction of copper. Copper is not a very reactive and can occur native, but it is rare to find pure copper. Native elements are the naturally occurring metal as an element in environment. These are known as the native elements. Generally, copper is found in combined state with other elements in ore like malachite. The copper extracted from compounds by reduction with carbon is impure. The electrolysis can actually be used at this stage to remove the impurities and to obtain pure form, the elemental form of the copper. Let us see how the extraction of copper or the purification can be done by using the electrolysis process. It is the rod of the impure carbon which is working as anode. It is the copper cathode. The electrons are being transferred from the anode to the cathode. The electrons are received on the cathode. When electricity is passed through the cell, copper is dissolved at the anode by the oxidation process and copper ions goes into the solution. This is the migration of the copper ions into the solution. At the cathode, the copper ions is getting deposited by the reduction process. This copper ion is migrating towards the cathodic area. As copper ion moves from anode to cathode, thus anode gets smaller as the cathode gets bigger. It is the redox reaction. The rate at which the copper ions enter the electrolyte from the anode is the same as the rate at which the copper ions leave the electrolyte at the cathode. Thus, concentration of the copper sulphate solution remains unchanged. Since copper is transferred from anode to cathode, any soluble impurities in copper anode dissolve in copper sulphate and are removed later. The insoluble impurities are accumulated in bottom of the cell, which is forming sludge, which is later removed for purification. Let us summarize. We have discussed the Frost and Purbach's diagram, how the oxidation state EH, pH is getting related and can be plotted to discuss their relative stability, relative reactivity, disproportionation and comproportionation in both types of diagram, Frost and Purbach's. Further, a brief account of the principles involved in the extraction of element was discussed in light of the oxidation and reduction process, in light of the reactivity, and further the purification was discussed in detail by the electrolysis process. Thank you.